All right, aloha, and welcome to those of you who are watching this in the future. This is another one of our Conscious Creator work periods presented through Paradigm Shift Central. This is a community of conscious creators where we support each other, where we have discussion as part of these regular work periods to be able to help assist us in leveling up our social media tactics, to be able to help us get our content out to more people, to be able to help create regenerative income through things like Patreon or item sales, to be able to help support each other as entrepreneurs so that we can continue to keep serving the community, not just for the short term, but for the long term as well. And just being able to step into more of our abilities and more of our value, and just being able to get more familiar with how to be able to get ourselves out there and develop our confidence in doing so. So for today's meeting, I am joined by, we have Luna, we have Erika, and we have Kristina, aka Morphic. You guys just want to wave hi to the camera, you guys are more than welcome to do that. So beautiful. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start off just with like a couple little things, and then from there we're going to get into each of the people here. They're going to just kind of like tell me some things that they want to be able to go over. I already know Luna's going to be, we're talking a little bit about like Instagram integration, being able to have just kind of like how to be able to reach the right audience. And Erika is getting started to a lot of things. So we're just going to be kind of going over some general information there in terms of how to be able to build your audience, get your content out there. And Kristina is going to be sitting in. If there's anything else that Kristina wants to be able to jump in with, we'll just go from there. So to start off the meeting, what I like to be able to do, first of all, for those of you who may be new to this, if you haven't already yet, again, these work periods, these are available for our leading members. You can become a leading member by supporting on the Patreon with $11 monthly contribution. You guys are welcome to check out the Patreon down below, and at the very least, please feel free to join our Discord server if you're brand new. And you can also check out down below for the recordings for previous meetings that we've had. And there's a ton of value there related to Patreon and TikTok and Instagram and social media presence. So I want to be able to just hit upon a couple things real quick in terms of being able to hit upon the theme of the importance of being able to make yourself stand out online. This is something that a lot of people, when they're creating content, they kind of, it takes them a while to kind of like find their voice and to find their style. But I think just understanding that that is something that we are ultimately moving towards is a valuable objective to be able to keep in mind, because when you're amongst, people who are scrolling throughout the entire day, you literally only have, like a couple seconds to be able to get their attention. And so that's something where, you want to be able to not only just be able to create that first impression really quickly, but to also be able to have a certain style or a certain way of expressing yourself that is going to help people remember who you are, opposed to just kind of you just kind of like getting in their memory, kind of just like getting blended in with a ton of other creators who they see on the regular basis. So one of the things that's really important in order to be able to kind of like build your relationships and to kind of like just expand into new realms of success is to be able to create an identity for yourself through social media that is authentic to who you are, but is also something that is unique, something that stands out. So that's going to be very, very different for a lot of different people. It's good to be able to kind of like bring in, if you're, for example, talking about TikTok and everything like that, to be able to spend your time studying other creators and kind of like seeing what they do and mimicking other styles and starting off with templates that other people have already played with. That's okay. Work with what's already been done and work with what already has been proven successful. That will help you just with building confidence and help you get familiar with posting and the editing and just kind of like be able to develop a little bit more of that experience. But over time, it's encouraging for you guys to be able to find little things that you can do. And these little things can be catchphrases. These little things can be the specific types of videos that you do. These little things could be, even like certain types of videos every single week, where it's like, okay, guys, like this is our Tuesday tarot reading videos, and this is our new tarot reading for this week. And you kind of like create some sort of imprint that is going to allow people to not only just remember who you are, but to be able to kind of like look forward to being able to see what it is that you're going to be able to do next. So this is something that's going to be kind of like unique for every single person. Again, with my own stuff, I think, again, what I find really, really valuable to be able to help people remember who you are is to also be able to kind of like play with a variety of styles. Especially humor. Humor is really, really important. And I'm not saying that everybody here has to kind of just be like, jump on stage and do a joke and everything like that. Like that's not really what humor is necessarily always going to be, but it's being able to bring in that playful energy. And I think especially on TikTok, being able to bring in that playful energy is going to create that type of impression that will make you stand out. And there are a bunch of creators that are doing this and everything like that. But what happens when you kind of start giving yourself permission to be able to intentionally bring in that playful energy. You know, it's kind of like you still want to be able to be your authentic self, but when you're stepping into the camera on, you know, for TikTok or for anything like that, imagine as if you're like stepping on stage. You know, you're in drama class and everything like that. You need to project to the people in the back of the class, into the back of the room. So you put on a little bit of an accentuation to what it is that you naturally already bring. I think that's really, really important because your energy will be readable by the people who are watching it. And that is what's going to create the impression. So this is where it makes a difference when you go out of your way to do little tiny tweaks within your content, such as positioning your camera in a way that has a nice backdrop, using lighting that's going to help illuminate you in a good way, adding in the additional title so it shows that you're putting in the little bit of an extra effort, like specifically on like TikTok and things like that. Because like even just that little bit of extra energy, where even there may be days where, you know, you're just like, okay, like I got this video I want to do, and check in with yourself, be like, okay, how do I feel about doing it right now? If it's just like, oh, I feel a little bit tired, honor that. Be like, it's okay, you know, you can go take a nap or something like that. Maybe you can come back to us, and when you do come back to it, maybe you'll really be able to bring even like more energy into it, because that's ideally what you want to be able to do. You want to kind of bring in like this like very like palpable energy that is exciting and playful, and that's something that people will naturally be attracted to. You know, you want to become a magnet for the people that you are looking to connect with. And so, you know, this is like kind of basic law of attraction and stuff like that. Like, who are you going to want to be able to hang around more? And this is going to be relative to every single situation, but, you know, like, are you going to want to be able to hang around with people who will be like, yeah, you know, like I love life. Life is exciting. Life is an opportunity. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm living my joy. I'm living my passion. I'm happy. I'm smiling. I'm still real. I'm not like doing spiritual bypassing or pretending that I'm not a human being. Like, that's not what we're telling you to do, but really just kind of like play in this vibration where like you almost want to become that person that people would want to be friends with, so to speak. You know, become that person that people would be like, oh damn, like I want to I want a person like that in my life. I want to hang around with them because they make me feel a certain way, and it literally gives them permission to start accentuating that themselves. So bringing in, again, things like that are very, very important, opposed to just kind of like bringing in moments where you're just kind of like, hey guys, today's video is about, and so like, and again, it's not saying like, hey, if you do that, that's okay, that's part of the learning curve and everything like that, but when you kind of like bring in just that little bit of extra attention to like, how am I presenting myself on camera? That can go a big way, because that again is what is going to make you stand out from other people. And essentially what makes you stand out is nothing less than you shining the light of your authentic self. That's all you're doing. That is really all of you're doing. You're not trying to be anything that you're not. You're just developing your skills to the point where you're giving yourself more permission to be able to shine it maybe a little bit brighter. And I'll give you an example, even just kind of, Kristina, if you don't mind, like just kind of like in the recent videos that you've kind of done, you've actually seen this. I've actually seen this from like when you started TikTok to now where you are. You can tell there's more of kind of like an ease and a playfulness that you bring into your videos. And I think it's really good. Like, I think it's really good. And you can tell like, and sorry if I'm like making you blush and stuff like that, but seriously, like in terms of just like, saying like good job and thumbs up, I think that's a great example where you can tell that over the course of like a month and a half, you've kind of like brought forth more of kind of your unique flair into the content. Do you kind of, do you feel this? Like, like, I mean, do you want to unmute yourself? If you want to, you know, you can just kind of like say a little less. So do you want to unmute yourself, Kristina?
I'm sorry. No problem. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, now we can. Now that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm like shaking because like I had no idea like all this was gonna like happen. And I've always had an idea. I just never knew how I was gonna like execute it. That was always like my little weakness. Like, okay, I'm planting a seed, so how the fuck do I grow it? But I've always had a thing for a deity called Persephone, and her stories pretty much inspired me. So I'm like, okay, how the hell am I gonna bring this to your narrative? Because I know you want to do something with TikTok, especially with conscious creators and stuff like that. So I wanted to be like, okay, so I want to make Persephone into a light guardian. So how would her story begin? And then I'm seeing how I'm like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just following what my captain is doing. Okay, I'm going to trust the process. And then just next thing you know, it just grew. And then as I'm doing my thing, I'm getting to know people. And then next thing you know, like, overwhelmed by how much like positive outcome I'm getting from just being myself. And I'm seeing everyone else shining, especially like Pinog and Luna. And it's like, I'm lost for words.
Yeah,
And like,
it's cool. It's
especially,
happening. Yeah.
so I mean, I'm just grateful for, like, just thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you
no
guys for the
problem.
compliments, and thank you for, and I'm not used to saying thank you, because like whenever I receive compliments, like my mom really humbled me down because I was a very wild child. So every time whenever I get compliments, I'll be like, well, look who's talking, because you're a reflection of myself. So if you're saying, oh my God, you're awesome, and I'm like, yeah, I know we are.
Hmm.
So, that's how it goes to play. But
Totally.
yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And yeah, like not like just wanted to quickly give a chance for you to just feel like, be like, yes, like because there's a feeling that we get when we kind of start feeling ourselves stepping into more of this. And again, like in terms of making yourself unique, again, like being unique doesn't mean always fitting one specific mold. Sometimes I think being unique is actually being unique in our ability to shapeshift, and this is where you'll see me doing this a lot. Like I'll literally be playing characters within my content, and that may be something you guys want to start thinking about, like even for Luna, like that could be something where it's like, you could almost kind of like script in kind of caricature versions of yourself, because I think when you do that, people will just be like, oh wow, okay, like this person is like clearly not taking themselves too seriously. It's kind of goofy, it's kind of silly, but there's still a message there, and just having that little bit of extra playfulness with it goes a long way, because people are going to be like, like not everybody else is doing this, I want to see what they do more of, right? So again, just overall, I just wanted to be able to hit upon this idea that, again, your authentic value is being in who you are. And again, also within the value that you're presenting on TikTok, it's also valuable to, again, just be able to bring in like the extra mindfulness into the content that you're creating. I think it's important for us to kind of like move away from maybe back in the day when we were using Facebook and it'd be like, what's on your mind? And you just type something and be really raw and you do something, and then some people might agree with it, some people might not agree with it, and things like that. Where with this, again, every single video that we are putting up is developing the relationship between ourselves and our audience. So making sure that we get into the habit of really being able to just take an extra moment before we decide if we're going to post something and everything like that, and just being able to think about, like, how is this going to be perceived, how is this going to develop the relationship, is there another way I can communicate this, could I come back to it later and try a different version of it and everything like that. Ultimately, again, just developing that deeper responsibility with everything that you post, because you want everything that you post to be an accurate reflection of who you are, while at the still time still honoring the fact that, like, yeah, there will be, like raw and vulnerable aspects to yourself that you may feel called to share, and there may be other times where you may not feel called to share that, and that's okay. But just making sure that, again, you're just kind of like bringing in that extra little bit of mindfulness into what it is that you post, and just opening yourself up to play with more of that, again, creative expression. So again, that's kind of just a general thing. I just wanted to be able to hit upon that. But from here, let's just kind of start passing the talking stick around. You guys can let me know if there's any particular feedback on that, and we'll pass it over to Luna. And maybe I don't know, Luna, if you want to like brainstorm or anything on that, because I do think that you have like you already do have like a unique presence in your content, and I'm excited to see like how that can continue to evolve. But go ahead, Luna. You can just kind of talk about this, and then we can kind of move into the other stuff you want to talk about as well.
Yeah. So as far as you talking about characters and stuff, I do play around. Like I have some videos that are funny and then some videos that are more serious. I'm just trying to figure out the balance between like how much of each to do, because the audience could be split or whatever, and so on. I think maybe like one of the characters that I do have is usually like my higher self, that's always like kind of talking smack to me, like to get on check. So I'm like, okay, so that's one of the characters that I like to play off of. But I really do like doing a lot of the, I would like to do more of the ones that are more like acting, where I like actually change and put a lot more effort into it. So that would be cool. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about was basically Instagram. So my Instagram, I had about maybe, I had like 28,000 followers before TikTok actually started blowing up. Now that TikTok blew up, I focused my TikTok to be more about spirituality, because that's what I wanted to, that's what I wanted my message to be, since I saw so many young people on that app. And you know, the youth is our future. So I want to give them something positive. Now I want to connect the audience that's going to follow me from TikTok to Instagram to be the same audience. However, on my Instagram, I do focus a lot on my music. I also have personal, you know, photos or whatever, just like lifestyle photos, what you would call. But I'm gonna start doing YouTube meditations every Tuesday. So I want to connect basically my YouTube, the spirituality, the lifestyle photos or whatever, and then also my music and my business, which is my shop. In the future, I will be probably offering tarot and like Reiki and stuff like that, but I'm still learning. So that's when I would do the Patreon. But I just want to integrate all of that stuff into the Instagram that I currently have. I don't know if I should set up a new one or just delete photos, or what your opinion is.
Okay, so just kind of recap, and you can just tell me if I'm just like hearing everything properly. So this is the ase.luna account, or is it that
Yeah.
account? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So you got 38,000 follow or 33,800 followers as it is right now. So what would be your goal in being able to just kind of like bring more of an audience to your Instagram? Like, what would you be hoping to accomplish with that? Kind of like is that kind of more just looking to be able to get people connected to the music side? Is it kind of trying to lead people to the shop? And getting people to your Instagram, what would be like the next step? Like, because you're looking to be able to like connect with them more in kind of like a personal way than just TikTok, I assume, right? Can you maybe just
Yeah.
brainstorm on that a bit more with me?
So I probably, yeah, I haven't, I thought of it, but I haven't really put it like down into paper, which really helps me. But I want to, yeah, I would, because the shop Instagram is on its own, so I guess that would be just on its own. And then I would want it to be spiritual community, right? For the music. I want the music there, but I want my spiritual community to know that I'm available for anything that they need. Like if they need, you know, advice or reading, or if they need to do meditation, you know, I have meditations on YouTube, you know. Since I'm starting the YouTube and that's totally new to me, I'm going to have to, you know, reevaluate this thing again, because I'm going to have to integrate that, obviously. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm totally confused right now. That's
That's
how I
okay.
feel.
That's totally okay. And you know, again, like with Instagram and everything like that, like I don't think we need to put too much pressure on ourselves to be able to try and make our Instagram as, you know, as big as possible. But again, I think it is valuable to use Instagram as a place where you're kind of like working on developing that deeper relationships with people. That's where your posts can get like a little bit more raw. That's where you can create the invitations for people to connect through like your additional services and everything like that. Because I mean, like for me, I don't really focus too much on building the Instagram. It's just kind of there, and whoever interacts with it, it's great. But I don't really like, my primary focus is on kind of like creating the again, like the TikTok content. Whatever the Instagram is kind of secondary to that. But then within both, making sure, especially within my live broadcast, that there's like the invitation for them to connect further, which is again like our Discord channel as well. And maybe the Discord channel is something that you might want to look into soon, because that may be what would be like a place where you can start kind of like integrating people into a platform where they can get like all content that is Luna in one place, while also kind of like building a community around that. Because we can't really depend on Instagram really being able to automatically always get to the right people at the right time. It's not fully consistent in that way. And as you're starting your YouTube, you can always like re-upload some of your videos from YouTube to Instagram at the same time. Like it's essentially like, even with like YouTube and stuff, it's great to have the content on YouTube, but essentially our job, especially if we're just getting things started, is to be able to get the content in front of people where they are. You know, so like go to where the attention is, and I'm sure that there are a ton of people on your YouTube who would be interested in being able to hear more about your services. So maybe, I would maybe just kind of like encourage you to even play around with posting some of the content that you want to be able to post to TikTok that's going to introduce a little bit more of like the audience to the different styles that you do. Like you could create a little video where it's literally just like, hey guys, like with a voiceover showing pictures of your items, like, hey, like you guys may not know this, but here are some really cool items that I have available through my shop. Be sure to connect to my DM on Instagram. And like, and you could even create incentives. You create like little call to actions and be like, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll give you like a 10% discount code or something like that, creating like a little bit of a drive there. Because again, I think the Instagram is valuable because through the Instagram, that's where you can get a lot of like the DM messages, and that's where you can get a little bit more of the relationship. I know what you mean, where with kind of like TikTok, like sometimes the audience can be so big that you don't really feel like you're connecting with people quite in the same level, because like, the contents can just be so like all over the place and everything like that. But I do think just kind of, even if you're going on lives and everything like that, just making sure that you're inviting people back to your Instagram. Again, I'm just kind of brainstorming here as it is. I mean, I think you're moving in the right direction. I would say that, just getting kind of clarity on what your next goals are, and just helping me understand that will help just kind of figuring out what some additional tactics would be. Again, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of brainstorming with you at the same time too, but
No.
let me know anything that you're thinking based on what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I need all the brainstorming I can get because I have so many thoughts. I'm very like, I'm a jack of all trades. I wear many hats, and they brought from different, it's like spirituality and then humor and then like music, which is the music is like totally, I feel like it's kind of a different audience than the people that just want to see videos of like advice of like things that I've learned, lessons and things like that in life. So I'm still figuring it out. I guess I'm gonna have to revisit this in the future with you once I figure out exactly what the intention is for the Instagram. Because Instagram was just my personal Instagram, and it just started growing, and it now it is what it is. But
I think in some ways, just kind of like trying to put myself in a situation similar to this from my own perspective. I think even just kind of like, checking back with it's like, do we need to separate things? Like, or, because I mean, the way I see it, like people are tuning in because they're tuning in for you. And they're tuning into whatever it is that you are creating. So, I mean, there might be some people that kind of are more interested in the music, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't think we really need to divide ourselves. Like, I don't think we need to be like, oh, here's my Instagram just for music. Here's my Instagram just for my shop. Here's my Instagram just for my personal stuff. I think it does make sense to just kind of like keep the audience in one place opposed to spreading ourselves out too far. So maybe what may be helpful for you is just kind of giving yourself permission to know that you don't need to kind of like separate those audience, and know that the people are they're tuning in because they like Luna, and whatever you are passionate about, they will appreciate, type thing. And if the people don't fully vibe with it, that's okay. I mean, hopefully they wouldn't say anything about it, but you wouldn't really have to worry about it. And again, and you do just want to be able to go to where the audience is. Because I think if you start kind of like separating your audience into too many different platforms, it just kind of becomes a heavier workload for you. And it just be kind of, it just kind of like, it changes the way the algorithm will work as well. So, I mean, it may be something where, even just like putting up some videos on TikTok that are just kind of, about your music and everything like that, and seeing what the feedback is like, and putting up posts on your Instagram of your item shop and everything like that. Like, I don't think you need anyone's permission to say, oh, you can and can't post this on your platforms. But again, I do think it's valuable to just kind of make sure that we're not spreading ourselves out too thin. I've done that before, and yeah, it didn't really even work. And eventually, like, those secondary pages, I just stopped using them, because I'm like, why would I need to do that when I have most of my audience in one place? So again, go to where the audience already is. And then again, it's just kind of like finding a way where you're like, again, authentically presenting them with whatever value it is that you have to offer. Because, like, be it your music, your spiritual wisdom, or your item shops, it's all value, right? And if it's not for them, then it's not for them. But I don't think you have to worry about doing something based on what other people's expectations of what they think you're about. Whereas you can just be like, hey, this is what I'm about. And then you just kind of like own that and stuff like that. So that's where, like, again, I'm feeling like, again, part of the work is maybe just kind of being able to give yourself that internal permission to be like, no, what? It's okay if I post all of my stuff on one content, because that's what it is. It's Luna, it's Luna, and everything under it is all Luna. And that's cool. And that's okay. And if anything, people would be excited to see the variety of the different hats that you wear. So yeah, and the other thing I was just going to say, and even with TikTok, and this goes for anybody, utilizing like the 15-second videos and then re-uploading those to TikTok Reels is really, really helpful. That can really help your audience grow. So if you're just kind of like, okay, here's my spiritual wisdom, I'm posting this to TikTok, do I post this to Instagram? Like, yes, absolutely yes, especially if it's a 15-second video, because Instagram Reels is kind of like the TikTok of Instagram, but it's only 15 seconds. So every now and then, if you're creating a video on TikTok, keep in mind that if you create it under 15 seconds, that could easily become a reel. And the reels do have a tendency to reach a wider audience as well. So again, that could just be a way to be able to help like bring people back from, from multiple directions and stuff like that. And then, yeah, and I would say, the YouTube and everything like that, I would say we'll talk more about that as we go without having really to worry about that. But again, your YouTube will be a place where the people who are connecting with you through TikTok, through Instagram, if they vibe with your work, they'll find your YouTube and everything like that. And then just kind of making sure that the invitation's there, and making sure that your link tree is up to date with all the information and everything like that. So what do you think, Luna? Is that decent brainstorming?
Yeah,
Am I doing a good job? Yeah.
You're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.
No problem.
So yeah, I really like that idea that you had about the promo, like that I could do like, oh, DM me, and I'll send you like a % off. So that'd be super cool. And then I'm gonna do the 15-second reels. I think what I need to do is, because I work better when I give myself some type of a schedule, because this whole working for myself and all that is still kind of new to me. So I kind of have to have some structure for myself. But yeah, so I would think like maybe I could, since I'm doing the meditations on Tuesdays, those would be the posts that would be obviously on those days, and then I can have a funny thing or whatever on another day. But yeah, I'll figure it out. But your advice is so helpful. Thank you so much.
Cool, no problem. Yeah, and again, with a lot of that stuff, like, schedules help, but at the same time, I think it's like the schedules, and then within those schedules, there's still freedom to just be like, oh, I feel inspired to make this today. So like, if anything, like, don't tell your audience what your schedule is. Just kind of keep that in the background. And then, like, if it remains consistent, it will become obvious and everything like that. Unless it's like a schedule specifically for your meditations that are coming up and stuff like that, which could be something that, again, is valuable. And yeah, and when you feel called, if this is something you feel ready for, I do think that, again, if you want to be able to like create your own Discord platform and start building, because that's the thing, like, I know right now you're saying like you're going to kind of like wait to get into your Patreon. But at the same time, I do think that like if you were to create your Patreon sooner rather than later, it could actually serve in kind of like lifting up the other content that you're doing, opposed to just like, because, well, I mean, I'm just kind of curious because like, and again, this isn't being like critical or anything like that. Like, you were saying you were looking at doing Patreon a little bit later. Can I just understand from your concept as like why you're kind of waiting to do it? And again, I'm not, whatever's cool with you is fine. I'm just looking to understand.
Of course. So I want to learn some energy healing, techniques, and because my gifts are activating, and so I want to like hone them and put them into something, right? And So once I get, certified and I'm ready to practice, on people, then that's when I wanted to do Patreon so that I can have something more to offer, other than just, discount to the shop, which is amazing because I have a lot of good stuff on there, because I do a lot of like herbal stuff, and that's in the shop, so it's included. So yeah, that's basically what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Yeah. I would encourage you to like, even just like, as you're doing this, you could literally even just start setting everything up. And then if you feel like you want to start inviting people to your Discord channel, you could, but so like, you're kind of like building it. And then when you're just like, okay, now is the time, then all you gotta do is flick a switch, sort of thing. So just like, if you have the time, you can start building things now. And again, and we talked about this in the previous meetings, and if it's something that we want to go over again, we can do that, even just like in another meeting or something like that. But again, like creating the community using a Discord channel is really, really powerful. And knowing that like the offer that you can provide through your Patreon, again, it could be like you facilitating like Zoom calls and you doing like the one-on-one meetings, and like even just like personal meditations for people. There's a lot of value that you can offer for your Patreon, because again, like the highest value that you can offer through your Patreon that people will be interested in most cases is going to be like your time, the personal engagement with you. So that's where, again, you can build your Patreon and you can say like, hey, and like on the Patreon, every Sunday we have like a group discussion about spirituality that I help facilitate, like that in itself, just that, like that could be like a really big thing that will get a lot of people interested in. And again, that goes back to your presentation, where if you're presenting yourself as just this like really like, exciting, fun, high energy, honest, real person, people are going to be like, I would love to spend time with her. I would love to be able to hang out with her on Sundays just for a couple hours. And I would easily pay $10 a month for that or something like that. So I think, again, just kind of going back to the idea of understanding that like there's a ton of value that you already have to offer, and then just kind of creating the container and the framework. And again, that's something we could talk a little bit about as well. Because I think like doing the energy healing stuff, that would be a nice addition to your Patreon. But I don't think that would need to be the core of your Patreon at the same time. So just kind of like being open to the idea that I've explained this before with Patreon, you can kind of even like roll it out in phases, so like phase one is just kind of like, weekly Zoom calls that I host and people get to join that. And then like phase two is eventually more things and more things as you become ready for them. But again, as you're doing that, you're building that community, you're building those relationships. And that's going to be really serving for you as well, to see yourself kind of like stepping into those roles where you're going to be like, sweet, I just facilitated a group discussion and it went really easy. And it felt really, really natural. And that's just and then you can start talking about that even in future content. Once you kind of get your first one, be like, hey guys, like we did a Zoom meeting for our Patreon supporters. It went really, really well. I would love for you to be there for the next one. And so again, like having a Patreon and having a Discord, if that's something you need more help with, we can do that. But yeah, I would definitely say like, don't feel as if the Patreon needs to have all of those things ready. Like you could start getting it ready sooner rather than later would be my basic thoughts. So whatever works for you.
I want to work on it, actually. I do want to work on it because, I know admin stuff takes a long time anyway. So work on that, figure out, what I would be offering, and then I can see it from your perspective, And I think I'm going to work on that. And then once I have that set up, then come back with more questions.
Cool. Yeah. And definitely happy to help there. And again, like the system that we've kind of got set up with other creators, it's not as heavy as a workload as it may appear in the mind. Like there's actually like only a few things that you would need to already be able to get like a Patreon running, and you could already like launch it in 2 weeks or something like that. But yeah, we can talk more about that when you're ready. I know everybody's got enough things on their plate as it is. So that's cool. Sweet. All right. Luna, anything else at the moment? No. Okay, cool. Sweet. Okay, team. We'll keep going just for a little bit longer. It's almost 4 now, but that's okay. We'll go a little bit past, just to be able to make sure everyone's getting what they need out of this. So Erika is one of our newer leading members, and Erika, I know you were just kind of looking to be able to get started on things. I'll pass it over to you in a second, but I would encourage you to look into getting started by creating content on TikTok. And the reason for that is because TikTok has the most favorable algorithm. It has the best algorithm to be able to like reach people for the first time. Whereas with Instagram, it's like hard to kind of build content there that's going to reach new people. Same with YouTube. It's hard to kind of like create content and to find a new audience. Essentially what you want to do, and this goes for Erika, this goes for anybody who's just getting started. This comes from, again, you know, things that we've seen already work. Focus on creating content on TikTok, like focus on creating like high quality content on TikTok. And then that content moves people to your Instagram and moves people to your YouTube and moves people to your Patreon. So if you can just kind of say like, okay, my objective for this week is to, you know, create an Instagram that would just kind of be there. And then you can start posting on that casually, but it's not like the main show, so to speak. But then say like, okay, I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks focusing on creating content on TikTok, and then just kind of gauge it from there. Don't worry about the YouTube just yet, unless you already feel like you're like ready to start creating that long form content. The YouTube is valuable for creating content where it's like, you create a video on TikTok and you're like, hey, here's me talking about something for 1 minute, but guys, I got like a 20-minute video on my YouTube where I dive into details, because this is something that like I'm an expert in, and I've got like, you know, like a bunch of years of experience being able to offer this advice. And then again, you know, for you, and this goes for other people that are kind of like in a similar boat where they're just getting started, it's possible for you to be able to like create a Patreon and create like a corresponding Discord server as you are getting things started. I know David was literally saying, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, but I want to like have my Patreon ready to go like out the gate, so to speak. And that's cool. Like you can totally do that. You can totally do that way, because again, as you're creating those first impressions, like that's the thing. Like a lot of people think like, oh, in order to be successful, like it won't happen until I get 1,000 followers. Like if you got all the pieces in order, you could have 10 followers, and out of those, 5 of them could be people who you legitimately connect with, who would want to be able to work with you further, right? So it's just like focusing on the individual relationships as they come in, and then just kind of, you know, just keeping an eye on how the numbers are kind of like rolling out from there. But I think if you can just kind of spend a little bit of time focusing on TikTok, you'll be pleasantly surprised with like just kind of like the reach. And that's the thing with TikTok, it's kind of a dice roll. Every now and then you'll create something, and if you format it in a good way, lo and behold, it could go viral. Like it just can kind of happen like that. So it's like making sure that you got some things in place. And again, and even before this, Erika, this is stuff we can talk about, you know, just kind of between now and next time or whatever, just kind of get kind of clear on what it is that you want to offer people, the value that you already have that you can offer people, what might your niche be. So again, you know, like that's the important thing, is that when we're creating content, we want to create content that is both like entertaining, inspiring, and educational. But at the core of that, what we are doing is providing value. You know, we are providing value to the people who are tuned in. So it's not just like, oh, that was, you know, that was entertaining, but, you know, like a second later, I've already forgot what it was. Like provide value where it's giving them like a piece of advice, it's giving them practical tips, it's giving them methods, meditation techniques, whatever it may be. And at the same time, I think, and this goes for all of us here, your story is very, very important. So if you want to be able to create one where it's just like, hey guys, like here's like a short version of something that I've gone through, but I'm telling you it to be able to serve as like a beacon of inspiration to say, hey, if I've gone through this, you can go through this. And it could be a story of going through something that was challenging. It could just be a story of something that's exciting to you, whatever it may be. But again, when you tell people those stories, those can become valuable when you're looking to develop those personal relationships, because people will be like, oh, wow, okay, this person actually like shares a common story with me. I would like to be able to talk with them a little bit more. So yeah, so just kind of what I was saying there, I think kind of getting clear on what the value is that you want to offer, even getting clear on kind of like what name that you might want to use before you create your TikTok, something that can kind of explain what it is that you do within your name. That's something we can brainstorm. And then from there, parallel to that, creating an Instagram, just kind of posting things on the Instagram casually, but focusing more on the TikTok. And then behind the scenes, if you want to start building your Patreon and your Discord, parallel to that, you could. But Erika, go ahead. I'll pass it over to you. You let me know if again, what I just said kind of gives you a little bit of direction, and just let me know what you feel like value-wise you would like to offer people. Go ahead, Erika.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. I have to get one of those TikTok circular lighting things. I don't know. I don't know what they're called, but everyone, all the TikTokers have them. So I'm gonna go purchase that. And I really liked when you said that it's like a stage. So I was a little reluctant about TikTok, but once you said that it's a stage, like I can totally get into that and wrap my head around that. And I really, I'm gonna take that one and invoke my inner self to the world. So I kind of had the same thing with Luna, is I wear a lot of hats and I really don't know exactly what to portray necessarily. So I've been listening to everything, and it's basically, the same situation. Um, I have a doctorate in natural health. So I have all the natural health stuff that there's that. There's Akashic records, Reiki, meditation. I've been praying and meditating for 13 years. I have a very dynamic spirituality. I've had some amazing pineal gland meditations that have launched me into completely different dimensions. So I have a lot to, but so then there's this, meditation and spirituality and natural health, and it is kind of all in the same line. But, one day, I could talk about, whatever meditation, and then the other day talk about, hormones and estrogen levels, I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to figure out where to fit it all.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's great. And again, I'm happy to be able to have you here, because one of the first steps is just kind of creating like literally just a point form list of like what value you have to offer. And again, that could literally be pretty much what you've said, like all of these different topics, like all those different topics. It's not like it's just like, oh, that's one video. It's like those could be series of videos. You could have like a 10-part series talking about hormones, or talking about Akashic records, talking about meditation and prayer and all of those things. So I think just kind of like knowing that you've already got a ton of value to be able to offer. It's just kind of getting into that flow where you're starting to play with the TikTok app and you're recording things and getting familiar with it. And even still, I know you're saying like you were looking at getting one of those ring lights.
Ring lights, that's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't, if you want to get one of those, absolutely, it's a good investment. But at the same time, honestly, like even just standing in front of an open window with sunlight works great. So like don't feel that like that's what you need in order to be able to get started. So just kind of like one of the first things that I would recommend if people are just getting started is to get like some sort of like tripod mount for their camera, like something. I'll show you guys where's mine. I don't know where it is right now. Oh, it's over there. But anyways, it's just like a small little tripod, and
like a mount.
It's got like one of those like rotating mounts on it. You can find one of those online. They're usually you can find them around for like $40 maybe, or something like that. Get a good one though if you can. But yeah, like having a tripod is going to be your best friend. And again, even just filming outside, like go for a walk and film outside. Try to position the camera, try not to like walk with it too shaky and things like that. Like you want to be mindful of people watching. Like that's where like having it static, having the production put into it. Again, kind of going back to like kind of like theater and stage performance. You want to be mindful of the audience. You don't want them to feel like they're on a boat or something like that. So, But yeah, I have, go ahead. Yeah.
I have, I'm going to make a video a day, and then, start doing it. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's exactly where you want to start. And again, and even before you do that, take a look at some of the other creators, like go into our TikTok channel within the Discord and just take a look at what other people are creating. And again, I think the important thing is to always make sure that you have like a title added to your video that shows up in the thumbnail. Never post a video that's just like no titles or no additional text. Because again, then when people go to your profile, they should see the thumbnail and should be like, oh, like tips for past life or tips for, anything or something like that.
Okay.
Having that title, having that little bit of extra text is absolutely essential. And then again, you can start playing with music. You can even start going through, if you're browsing TikTok, just run a search on like spiritual awakening, the hashtag, and then just kind of start looking through stuff there. And even as you're browsing, even if you just like come across music that you like, you can actually click on the icon in the corner, the little like spinning music icon, and then you can click add to favorites. And then
Okay.
like from there, you can create like a little bit of an archive. And then sometimes like this,
Okay.
I'm sure Luna, you probably have experienced this too, where like sometimes like the song will inspire the video. Like you'll like hear a cool song and be like, oh, that's a cool song. And
Right,
then you can
right,
do that as well. And again,
right.
you know, there's so many different styles of videos that you can do with TikTok. Some of them are going to be, hey, this is me talking to the camera. Some of them are going to be like, hey, this is me like dancing and with text appearing as I'm dancing. So you're going to want to play around with the
Sure.
TikTok app, get familiar with the text, keep the text quite simple.
Yeah.
Don't change it up too much. If it's like one format, keep it that format throughout the rest of it. Another way that I like creating videos on TikTok, opposed to and we'll get this wrapped up in the next couple of minutes, opposed to doing a one-shot take. What you can actually do on TikTok is like you hold the camera facing towards you, and then you like hold record, you say something, you release record. And then you get ready, and then you hold record again, you say something again, and then you release record. And if you screwed up on it, you hit the delete button, it goes back one clip, and then you redo that again. You do this like, you know, like clip by clip by clip, and then lo and behold, you've got your video. That for me has been a good technique, opposed to just being like, oh, it needs to be a one-shot take. Because sometimes you could be doing like a one-shot take and be like, oh, damn, that wasn't perfect, and then you have to redo it again.
Right.
So doing the little tiny clips, be like, tips for accessing your Akashic records, pause, and then tip number 1, pause, tip number 2, pause, sort of something like that, you know? So that would just kind of like help with expediting production. And again, even with that, you can get into the process where if you're on a roll, like you can post 1 video a day, but you could create like 4 videos in an afternoon.
Right.
If you're like in that mindset. And then again, having that text document on your computer, just kind of with your notes ahead of time, like having that nice and ready. So you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Here are my 4 points, boom, boom, boom. And eventually you're just kind of start developing a little bit more of that production routine that will just get things really easily. And then you'll be like, okay, sweet. And then in the future, when you're like, ooh, I got an idea for a video, you know that you could pump out that video in like 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, you know, because you're more familiar with it. So cool. All right, we'll get close to wrapping up. But Erika, how does that, like, do you kind of got some clarity on kind of what your next steps are going to be?
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Sweet. No problem. And we'll definitely just keep touch. And again, if you have any technical questions or anything, just let me know, and you can message me in the Discord chat, or just post in the Discord chat as well. So
great.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys. And again, we're just going to maybe got like, I don't know. I try to keep this under an hour so I can post it to Instagram. It's probably maybe like 2 minutes. Does anybody else have any quick things they want to share? Even just gratitude real quick. Kristina, you're good. Okay, cool. Everybody's good. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right, team. We're going to wrap it up. For those of you who are watching this future, just a reminder that we do have Dream Class coming up this Thursday. I'll create some graphics for that. And if you guys want to post those graphics, I'll make those available, and then you guys can do some graphics for that again. And I have the tiny URL available, and that's Sept 10 Dream Class. But we'll post more about that in the Discord chat. And yeah, other than that, thank you again, everybody, so much for joining. If you're new and watching this in the future and you want to connect further with our community, check the links down below for our Discord server. Check the links for our Patreon, where you can join as a leading member. And we'll also post the links for the people who are featured in this call today. So beautiful. All right, team. Let's say thank you again to everybody who's tuned in right now. So say like, hi, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon.